Quick shout out before we get started. It is Veterans Day in the U.S. and I just wanted to say from Olivia and me and Harper, thank you from all of our hearts for your sacrifice and your service. My dad is a veteran and Olivia's grandfathers were both in the service. My grandfather was in the service, and so I just want to say thank you for your sacrifice. And even with all the stuff going on this week, and even in this vlog we're going to speak a little bit more about it, the most important thing is we say thank you that you have given up so much and served so much so that we could live this life here, that we could also have these discussions, even have these disagreements. We owe that, so much of that, to you. So thank you. Have a great day. We remember you. We celebrate you.
Hi guys.
Hi.
So it's Friday, which means it is Q&A Friday in the bed with Olivia and Ben and not Harper.
He's in his bed.
He's in his bed.
Hopefully for a while.
Hopefully. Oh gosh. That's not a good way to start out. We can't really do a Q&A Friday today because we forgot to ask y'all for questions in the hullabaloo of all the everything that has happened this week. But we just wanted to first thank you all for your comments specifically on yesterday's video, because, you know, like, it's really nerve-wracking, I think, putting your views about anything out in public, but specifically about such a hot red button issue right now, the election, you know, who you voted for. And I just feel like, you know, at least for me, and I know Ben kind of talked about this yesterday, is, I mean, we really have to get to a place where you don't have to agree at all with other people. You don't have to, you know, give up your beliefs and go to the other side or anything like that. But you do have to at least just respect the democratic process and that people have a right to vote how they want to vote, even though it doesn't make any sense to you from a moral standpoint or whatever standpoint. And that's what I'm trying to really hold myself accountable for. And also really just continuing to, as we love one another, and keep the keep the dialogue open with people who may not understand your viewpoint or any of that, like, if that makes any sense. Like, I've been really trying to ask people that, you know, voted for a different candidate than I did, like, explain it to me, like, tell me why you think this is a good idea or that is a good idea, or this right or that right, or this law or that law, whatever. Like, the only way we're ever going to be able to make any of this better is if we're able to continue to keep a dialogue open and hopefully at some point find some kind of middle ground, because, you know, I feel like we're all, not all, but a lot of people are on such vast extremes that there's just middle ground seems like so far away. I mean, wouldn't you agree with that? And when people are really emotional on both sides, have compassion, you know what I mean? Like, I have tried to be, if you don't understand why people who voted for Hillary are crying and really upset and, like, or feel like they're unsafe, and you roll your eyes and you think they're being ridiculous and over dramatizing everything, that's not really, it's just not, it's not fair, you know what I mean? Because that's what people are feeling. And, you know, some of it is a lot of the over dramatization of everything, but a lot of it is really grounded in true feelings based on the only facts that we have at this point to go on, the words that he has said. So, like Ben said, we have to wait and see. We have to see what he's going to do. We can't fear things that have not happened yet. I personally have told every African-American friend of mine, every you know, gay friend, my brother, anybody I know that a minority, anybody that's a part of any of the groups that feel unsafe, that I, as a white person who does not experience the same kind of fears that they do, that I have their back, that not only do I have their back, but I will stand in front of them if I have to. I will do whatever it is I can. I will sign whatever petition. I will, you know, peacefully protest whatever I have to do to make sure that my friends and my family feel safe and feel like they have the same rights as I do. And I think that's kind of like the next step, is like, as we're called to take action in ways, to me, that are peaceful and that are effective, we take those opportunities. I mean, wouldn't you agree? Mm-hmm. Even beyond that, down the future, is what do we teach our children from this? And I've really been thinking about this so much because, you know, now being a parent and having Harper, I'm really trying to think, what are the things that I want Harper to learn from this whole experience, from this whole moment in history. And, you know, I think at the end of the day, it's so important to look at these things like racial differences and bigotry and hate and all of these terrible sexism and all these, that we look at them straight in the eye and we say, and instead of just acting like, oh, well, you know, that happened in like the 50s and 60s and we don't really think, you know, that's not really an issue anymore, thank goodness. But it is alive and well, and that we continue to look these issues straight in the eye, and we continue to say, stand up for people that experience these, that it is not okay for anyone to feel unsafe or not equal or not like they have human rights like everyone else. And I don't know, that's kind of what I want to teach my son out of this, you know?
Yeah. I just think, too, that it's not okay to say some of the things he said. You know, I do. And I know that if you voted for Trump and you're supportive, that's fine. But I just think, you know, it's not okay. And I see so many people just saying, it's okay, just the way people are. Well, that's not true.
Well, and if you know
acceptable.
People who are like that, then we need to teach them that that's not okay.
That's not okay.
We need to continue to like challenge those kind of like behaviors and be like, hey, listen.
And your words are important. I mean,
oh my gosh.
I think I heard, who was it, Chris Christie, who's heading up Trump's transition team today, say, you know, they asked him on the Today Show, well, when he meets him today, is he going to say, you know, apologize for accusing Obama of not being born here and all that kind of stuff? And he's like, no, of course not. That was politics. He didn't really mean all of that. I'm sure Obama has accused him of being not legitimate too. And I was like, hey, listen, politics, everybody's going to say what they're going to say, but the reason people are mad at politicians is because they say things that aren't true just to get elected. And I think it's important for us to say, your words are important. What you say is important. We teach this to each other and our kids, so we should require this of them too. Not
of our leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's what's kind of been disheartening about this whole situation, is that.
And people are basing their votes, their whole foundations of what they believe in, based on just things these politicians are saying, which are not founded or based in any kind of truth whatsoever.
Yeah, and I will agree. I mean, there are a few times that I've seen where Hillary didn't tell the truth about the email things, and you know, they've made these little videos where they show the FBI director, and that's just as wrong. Listen, 100%. I'm not, even though I voted for her, I'm under no illusions. The thing is, what we say is important, and you be held accountable for your words, you know? And I think that's really, really important. And I know, listen, I know people say things and stuff like that, but that's not good.
Yeah.
That's not, you know, so I don't know. I just think just saying, hey, that's just the way they are, that's a cop-out. Let's not be that way.
like I today was on the subway going uptown from downtown, and there were these two women. They were African American. They were sitting on the subway side by side. I would say they were probably in their 60s, I would say, if I had to guess. And one of them was kind of leaned into the other one and just holding both of her hands in her hands. And she was just crying and crying and crying and crying. And she just kept saying to the other one, she was just like, I can't believe we're back here to this place again after our ancestors have fought so hard for us to make such huge steps. So many people died for rights that we thought we had, and now it feels like everything's being taken away, which again, you know, nothing has happened yet, thank the Lord, but it just made me like, my heart fell on the floor. It made me so sad, and I just, you know, and it was interesting because when I got off the train, I was standing right by them, and they had, you know, and I just looked at her and I said, if it makes you feel any better, I got you. You know what I mean? I was like, I got you. And she was just like, oh, thank you so much. And just, you know, I mean, it was like just a really cool moment. And I will. And I will stand up. I will do whatever I have to make sure that I could do some small part. And I know sometimes it just feels so overwhelming in situations like this, like at times, but there will be moments. I believe that. I believe if you truly want to stand up for injustices, when they arise, there will always be an opportunity to find justice in it. I mean, don't you think? Like I always feel like God always will give you the opportunity. If you really believe it and really want to fight against it, God will give you the right opportunity to put your good forward.
You know, I think too, as a Christian, I mean, I think so much of what Jesus was about, and so much of what being a Christian throughout history has meant, you know, speaking up for the powerless, for the defenseless, for the poor. I mean, this is everything. Even go back in the Old Testament, everything. The orphan and the widow, God is really concerned about this. I'm not, like over and over and over again. That is the most thing. I mean, even when you go into, you know, when they're spreading Christianity, and they're like, they would say things to Paul like, you can go preach to the Gentiles, but just make sure the poor are remembered. Yeah. I mean, like, this is really important. It doesn't even, and I think I may have mentioned this somewhere, but, you know, it says, Jesus says, visit those in prison, even if they've done something wrong. Right. You know, it's like, no, you're not to make a judgment, actually. You're not the police. You're not the moral police. You're just to care for those who are brokenhearted and to comfort them. And it just seems so opposite of all the rhetoric and all the language that's being used. It's just like, I'm going to stand it. No, for me as a Christian, I'm going to look for people that are being taken advantage of, where there's injustice, where there's all these things, and I'm going to go after them. And I'm going to look for people that champion that as well. And so no matter politics, no matter this,
no matter party lines, no matter, like, I'm over that.
It's just like, I don't understand how I feel like, you know, so many of my fellow Christians have forgotten that part. And that is the number one part. That is the most important part. Not some stand you're going to take in front of you know, like, I don't know. That's been really hard for me throughout this whole situation, and a reminder to me that that's the most important thing, is to look for those people.
Yeah, I agree, 100%, 100%. And actually, to be honest, I feel very hopeful today in particular, because I had a really hard time. It was just very hard. Today, I actually woke up and I felt a lot more hopeful, and I think for me, one of the one of the really great things to me that God has done through this whole thing is that He has really shined a bright light on some really dark places in our country. I'm not talking about geographically. I'm talking about some really dark, old hurts and thoughts about other races, and like there's a lot of underlying things that have just been there for a long time and that we thought we had dealt with, and that now there's been a light shine on that, and we have more work to do. And that's what the way I look at it. I'm like, we don't have to just now live life thinking everything is, you know, that we've really made so much headway, which we have made quite a bit, but that there's still lots of work to do in really educating one another and finding that middle ground, and really educating people to be accepting of others, people who are different than themselves. And, you know, it's just really interesting. Like somebody was saying the other day, like, really technically we're all immigrants, and we 100% are, unless you're Native American. They're the only true Americans, and I don't even want to get started into like what we've done to them, because it's just abominable what we've done to the Native Americans. But that's a whole nother that's a whole nother ball of wax.
Yeah,
but
another video.
Yeah, that's a whole nother video. But anyways, we just, you know, I don't know, like I just wanted to kind of let you guys know we're so thankful for all your comments, and just to kind of let you know where we are. I mean, this isn't something that like happens and then the next day you just put it back in your pocket and don't ever talk about it again. I'm sure we'll talk about it many more times, and I think, as you know, everybody's trying to kind of process through it, and you know, kind of like find a way. It's like when your life, the axis has been shifted a little bit. You got to find a new way to kind of live with it. And I think that's where a lot of people are. And that's where I am. I taught 2 SoulCycle classes tonight. And I had many people who showed up, who've been riding with me for a long time, just sit on their bikes and cry and cry and cry and cry and cry. And that's really heartbreaking. I love, though, that SoulCycle is a place where people feel like they can come, and I continue to say this, that it's a place we accept all people. Doesn't matter what kind of day you've had, the good, the bad, the ugly, the in-between. We laugh together, we cry together, we work it out together, and I'm so thankful that I work for such an incredible company, because through all of this, they have been amazing. I don't think that Donald Trump is like the devil. Like some people think he's like literally like Satan. It's like ridiculous. I do think, obviously, you know, he loves his children. All of his children seem to love him. He seems to have really great relationships with his kids, and they all really stood by him. I think that's a big testament. It'll be really interesting to see who he really is, I think, in all of this. Anyways, that's about it. I hope you guys had a great week, even with the good and the bad and the election and the crazy. I hope everything else was wonderful. And don't let this overshadow your life. That was my other thing I wanted to say. Because I know some people are like, they really don't know how they're going to continue. And we have to continue. The sun came up this morning. You know, good things happened today. And you know, life is good. It's really good. And I'm going to live in that space. Yeah. Anyways. All right. I'm going to stop talking because I've talked enough. We love you guys. Have the best weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday. Bye.
Bye.